All right, I think we are live. Hello, I am Lisa J. Stocks, and I am here with Marlene Motivates. Hey, Marlene.
Hey Lisa, how are you doing?
Pretty good. Can you quickly give people an update about what goes on over at your channel?
Sure. My channel, Marlene Motivates, is all about positive motivation and mindsets, and just we've been doing like some real talk conversations with Lisa and Boss Life Online and some other people. I'm just trying to bring different forms of bringing motivation into your life. So thanks for having me.
Okay, okay. So, guys, Marlene's channel is in the description. So you guys make sure to check her out. And hey, Elevated, thanks everyone who's tuned in so far. We're going to get into our topic of the day, and it's going to be around financial freedom versus being in survival mode, which many of us may have grown up in, or we're seeing people in that. But I'll tell you, from what I know about Marlene, she and I have a different money mindset. We didn't know it at 20 years old, but thankfully we have discovered that um or we realize that a retirement is not an age, it is a number. And that keeps us on track to work to achieve certain things, because it's not just tied to, when you're old and gray, we have to be ready for taking care of that person, as well as hopefully being able to retire early and enjoy certain things. Marlene, do you agree with me on what I'm saying?
Yes, I definitely agree because I didn't grow up. I grew up with some financial knowledge of some things, but really it wasn't until I got to be a little bit older before I realized that how important it is for us to plan and to not only plan, but to put steps into it to be able to elevate to where you want to go. And I think that's where a lot of people fall short, Lisa, is that they want these financial goals, but they're not really doing anything in real time about it.
Exactly, exactly. And I guess we'll be touching on that too, is what you need to do in order to, be on track if you don't know. I'm definitely going to be doing some of these elements. I feel like I bring them over and over again, but they are so important. And guys, please excuse my voice. I have a cold. Make sure to bring my tissue box with me to the studio. But I just want to take 1 second to acknowledge Charity, the mommy money getter, for this very generous super chat. Thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you for that. Um, all right. I want to make sure, Dr. Ninja, thank you. I know you just finished your live. I heard you. I had you in the background as I was getting ready, and I heard you saying that you were going to get over here to tune in to me.
Awesome.
All right. So you redirected. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So guys, let me get back to our topic of the day. And please know I appreciate everyone who's tuning in. Even if I didn't call you out, I just, I'm ready to we have to get through our topic. I can't keep taking station breaks, but I appreciate you all. So, um, all right, Marlene, let's see. What's this first topic I want to get into? Yeah, a lot of people are living paycheck to paycheck, one unexpected bill, credit cards, just constantly falling behind. And from what we've talked about in previous shows, both of us were doing this when we were in our 20s, but we've gotten that turned around now. So when you hear the phrase about financial survival mode, what comes to your mind?
Panic,
Yeah.
panic.
Okay, and that's something that's no longer a part of your life because we've built those things, those buffers, and like, give me an example of when you used to be in panic mode, and like how your life is now because of the changes that you've made.
Well, I think panic happened because, like you've said on many different videos and live streams, Lisa, you have to have everything in black and white. Before I would work or I would do some things, investing in things, but I didn't really know exactly like how much do I bring in? How much am I spending? What am I investing? I didn't have the numbers. So if you really don't know your numbers, you really don't know how much you can stand to lose and how much you need to really be stepping up and making. So when I started to really have my numbers written form, because I'm old school, I like to write with pencil and paper. And I wrote that down and I started seeing where my money is escaping and what I can do to change that and where I need to be investing. Everything changed in my life.
Okay. So really, really important points you're making there about knowing your budget, having a budget, knowing where the money is going. And a big part for me is what you were touching on there is understanding the performance and having goals, because you can be investing and you can be investing into the wrong things. You could be in a very uh, underperforming investment, high fees, all of these different things. So just don't think just because you're contributing, you have to know the details of it. And there I think for a lot of people they're leaving a lot of money on the table because the choices that they're making, or the lack of choices, the lack of research is leading to that. And so I hope that I love to bring those things to light, so that I hope that people take the time to dig deeper and get an understanding in order to improve, you know, those money leaks, improve those underperforming investments, ask if there's other investment choices through their employer. That alone has made such a huge difference in my personal life, as well as not just going with that target date fund that corresponds with your age. Listen, I'm about, finding ways to fight against uh, the the cookie cutter things that people might just want to drop you into because it's just easy. And I'm willing to put in work to make sure that I'm really getting what I need, what I deserve. This is my hard earned money, and I want to make sure it's working for me. And so these are things that, we might have learned some. I know you did. I didn't learn much, but you might learn some financial basics from your family, like with credit cards and, keeping up with things. But not the detailed level of the things that I'm touching on here about making sure that your money is maximized. Is there any example, like in your family life, where you were really taught something about investing, when it comes to like real estate or the stock market, that your parents or older family members knew about even when you were young, to
Mhm.
pass on?
Well, one thing that I definitely learned from my parents, having Caribbean parents, that's just a thing of having multiple streams of income. And I've known that from I was small. Like I used to go with my dad and see him check on the investment properties that he had. And he would show me the ropes, like you do this and you put this on the side and this house pays for this in the home. So he was showing me how to set up your plan. So if something happens at your job, quote unquote, you'll have this to fall back on and not just be stuck.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, definitely. And it's funny. It's just like as an adult in recent years, just thinking back to my family, I don't know why. I guess I just didn't wasn't thinking about it. But it's now as an adult when I think about certain family members, I'm like, wow, they were doing so many different things. All of these things were like you're describing, multiple streams of income, but I didn't think about it. I was just like, oh yeah, he drives the bus, and then uncle will be driving people to the airport and he'll do this and that and the other. But it's now that I think back on it that I'm so impressed about what he was doing, and the money mindset and goal getter that he was. But at the time, it's just like, oh, he's always busy, he's always running. But I guess even though it didn't sink in, he was still making an impression on me as to what a hardworking person really is and what you can achieve from that. Um, so let me take a look at my notes. So yeah, a lot of people don't grow up with this. So I don't know. It's like I hope that someone finds our channels and sees us talking about these things, and sees a face, or just knows that these things are possible even if you didn't have that example in your household. This could be a new place to get that type of inspiration. So have you ever encountered anyone that kind of said that the things that you share through your channel are things that they were so unaware of, and it's not the way that they grew up or the way that they ever thought about handling money?
Right. I most definitely have come into a few people, not really that will come into my chat, but will send me an email, because the most individuals are very sensitive when it comes to money, and they don't want to be shamed. The reality is the majority of people are not set up for financial success. But as an adult, you have to be the one to say, it's up to me for the life that I'm going to have in the future, and no excuses.
Hmm. Hmm. So when you were younger, did you ever like have part-time jobs, or did you have any little side hustles that you were doing? I know
Well,
today's gig work is different than it was, a few years back. Do you have any examples of anything that you were doing?
yeah. Well, when I was younger, my dad, it- now I understand what my dad was doing, but when I was younger, my dad used to have me as an employee,
Okay.
as one of his tax write-offs, and I didn't understand. I just thought, oh, it's cool, I'm getting money from my dad. But now I realize that he was setting me up for success, is showing me the ropes of real estate and etc. But when you're younger, you really don't get what they're trying to teach you. I
Mhm.
was just like, oh, it's cool, I'm hanging out with my dad. I wish that I had paid more attention while my dad was alive and showing me things. But now, as I'm older, now I'm trying to be a role model to the younger in my family and also in the community, showing them it doesn't matter how much you make, it's what you do with what you make.
Mhm. Mhm. And I'm going to jump ahead in my notes because you kind of just touched on something that I have down here.
Okay.
And it is passing on knowledge. And I'm going to get deeper into this in another live stream that I already have in my folder up here. But a lot of people think about like teaching the next generation, like it always they kind of word it in a way that you're passing knowledge to younger people. But I know you come from a very big family with like 10 kids, and so do you have any examples of just passing on knowledge that, even if it's an older person teaching a younger person, we kind of think of that as the traditional way. But are there younger people in your family that are giving guidance to older people, or siblings, siblings of a similar age or something like that? Because I want us to not think that it's only about us teaching the younger, that we just need to have a mindset of, in general, just passing on the knowledge, even if it is someone older than us, because it's, to me, it's about who is receptive about coming on this journey and being on, what we have discovered and is on track for a better financial future. So do you have any experiences, like you were just talking about people in the community, your viewers, but whether it's that or family members? I know you have like your nephew and things like that. um, like who is receptive and interested and willing to pass on, to share knowledge or to gain knowledge from you?
I would also say the community of those that you really wouldn't think about, and that's the ones that are geared to they're ready to retire now, that they haven't always made the best choices because of life or because of ignorance. And I'm finding that they're like really serious because they see that in their future I'm not going to be able to keep this up for much longer. So they're really hunkering down those who are in their 50s. That's really the category of individuals that are really tapped into my knowledge and information, because they didn't for whatever reason do what they needed to do, but they're not making any excuses. And those are the ones that I'm really proud of, because it's not easy to start from zero in your 50s.
Okay. Okay. All right. I'm just going to do a little adjusting to my settings. I'm sorry. I got a little distracted because, I just don't want the nonsense today.
And while Lisa is adjusting, I hope everybody has hit the like, has subscribed, and turned on your notifications.
Thank you, Marlene.
Welcome.
Okay, I'll be back 1 second. Okay, made my little adjustment there. And Rod, if you're able to clean up anything in the chat, I appreciate it. I know Rod, I know Dr. Ninja's here. A few mods are in the chat, so please keep an eye out for me. All right. So okay, we jumped over. I jumped ahead. So let's jump back. So now let's talk about some actual steps that can help you to get on track for that stability. Eliminating high interest credit card debt. Is that still going on with anyone in the chat that you don't mind sharing? I've gotten that under control, and it's been under control for some years now. And I'll share, when I was, going through that, I was a person that would always go about attacking the highest interest first. Did you have a particular plan when you went about attacking your credit card debt, Marlene?
I don't know. I was the person that seeing debt go away got me
Mhm.
excited. So I was a person that eliminated the
The
small
low.
first, and then I
Mhm.
did a snowball. But that got me excited when I start seeing things disappear.
Okay, okay. So I was in a chat recently, and Chad was in there with me over on Instagram, and someone was talking about um, actually carrying a balance because they felt that that was something that was going to help improve their credit score. And I actually got a call from my friend a couple of weeks ago, and she gave me this scenario of she needed brakes or something for her car. She needed a car repair done. She had the money to pay for it in full. She was going to use her credit card. I use my credit card for everything. So, um, she was going to get the repair done, and then she was asking me, once she gets it repaired, once the charge is on her credit card, should she pay it off in full? She has the money to pay it. And I'm like, yes, of course. And she's like, because her sister told her that carrying a balance could help, that's what's going to help your credit score. So don't pay off the whole thing. And I was like, no, I want you to pay off the whole thing. I don't want you to pay any interest. But what I want you to do in order to, use your credit on a regular basis is to come up with a plan of, your groceries, putting gas in the car, any subscriptions that you have, any utility bills that allow you to use your credit card. I want you to, however many credit cards you have, I want you to make a plan to use your credit card for things that you need and get them you pay, charge the items and then pay. And Chad was in the chat with me, and he said, yeah, that's a big misconception when it comes to building your credit, is that you have to be carrying credit and incurring that interest and putting yourself in that situation. Do you agree? Have you ever heard of anyone kind of thinking like having that thought process around using credit? I know you're not a big credit card person. Marlene is a cash
Definitely.
in hands person, but we both have used credit cards in the past and been in that, paying off cycle. But have you ever talked to anyone who had that thought process around using credit cards?
I have a few relatives that believe that, and no matter the conversation that I've had with them, they have not shifted their mindset. They just believe that to their core, that carrying a balance is good for your credit. I don't agree with that. I'm not in agreement. I think you should pay it off, and I've seen when I pay mine off on a regular basis, mine maintains a certain score.
Yeah. And um yeah. So guys, just if there's anyone around you who might have that misconception in their mind, I just want to just bring these things to light because like we were talking about just a minute ago about passing on the knowledge, whether it's to older or younger, you don't have to carry debt and incur interest in order to be building your credit. I'm in a place right now where I'm checking all of the boxes as far as, my length of credit history. I've had all the different types. I've had revolving. I've had a car note in the past. I've had all the different types. So my length, of course, I'm checking all the different areas. So sometimes, I mean, my credit score is pretty much perfect. It's sometimes even at 840, 830. So what I'm saying, I've in time, I've achieved it in my own personal finances, and I try my best not to. Well, if I'm not ever trying to carry any credit card debt that's going to incur any interest. If I have something that's lingering for months, it's because I'm on a promotion that's probably 0%, not even a low percentage. I'm not even carrying it if it's 1.9 or something like that. The last times that I really had like credit card payments that were lengthy, it was probably with my like Home Depot or something like that, that usually gives you like, those specials, like a year and a half interest free or something like that. Other than that, I'm going to pay. If I have a good promotion like that, I'm not going to be in a rush. I'll just pay it in increments that will get me to zero in time. But yes, I'm all about not carrying any balances. So, another thing I want to touch on is having that emergency cushion. And I think that by building that, that's what allows us to now be in this place that we are in, Marlene and I, that we're no longer having to run ourselves into credit card debt. And so you don't have to tell anyone where you're at, but I just encourage you to start with where whatever you can put aside. And if you can, my high yield savings account, it might take me 2 days in order to transfer it to my local bank to get into my checking account. Um, but I have my credit cards to bridge that if I do run into anything. But yeah, I'm just mentioning that to kind of make a little bit of a buffer, a hassle for you to, keep that money in savings and not be dipping into it constantly. How do you go about building your savings, and what numbers would you encourage people to start with?
You know, I say, like you mentioned, Lisa, to start where you are. Don't try to be like other people because everybody is in a different situation. Love yourself where you're at, and when you realize this is the best that I can do, you should be happy with that. Just starting with, even if it's $5, $10, 20, whatever it is that you can do weekly or monthly, do that, and you'll realize in a little while, with it being in a high interest bearing account, you're going to really be saving a lot of money. It's always better to have than to, as I mentioned earlier, be in panic mode and you don't know what to do, and then you can really take huge steps backwards because of poor decision making or just not doing what you need to do. So it's
Mhm.
all up to us. We can do it.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm going to throw out a few like specifics that maybe you can, like Marlene and I, we are pen and paper kind of people. Maybe I can give you a few goals that you can put down for yourself. If you're not there, you choose which one is right for you. So one that we often hear is having $1,000 put aside. One that I like to encourage, I don't know what everyone's earning is, but obviously, having one paycheck aside in your high yield savings account. And then from there, if you're not there yet, at one of those two, then start to say 1 month of expenses, 3 months of expenses, 6 months of expenses. Set the goal that's right for you right now, and then start to build on it. And do your best not to just continue to give in to temptation and keep dipping into it. Let it build. Eliminate that credit card debt so that this truly can be that cushion, that thing that you're able to save yourself and not put yourself into debt. So it doesn't have to be perfect. Like I said, no one is going to know the numbers but you. But set a goal for yourself and be able to be your own bank essentially, instead of having to ask people to borrow money, running yourself into debt and just being in that cycle all the time. And I love that I've kind of put in the work to build this for myself. It is kind of frustrating when I run into a larger expense, because then you have to make a bigger withdrawal from savings. But I'm always glad to be in that situation and then have to, get back to building up my savings, as opposed to not having that to fall back on. So, okay. So now let's move on to another point, and that is controlling your spending. And Marlene, I saw your short. I don't know how old it was, but I saw a short that you shared, and you had thrifted this $1 jumpsuit.
Oh no, I did that last week.
That was recent. Okay. I was like, I saw it recently, but I didn't know if it was something from a while ago. Okay. So Marlene, I was like, oh, I have to put this into my notes, because I was like, Marlene is over here doing it. So we're gonna talk a little bit about different ways to save money, and we can talk about thrifting, Facebook marketplace, buying things that are used that you're comfortable bringing into your home and repurposing, and, cutting subscriptions, making adjustments. So, Marlene, how did you come across this $1 outfit the other day?
Well, I was looking in my because I have apps of all the thrift stores because I'm very big on thrifting something before I buy it brand new, because I was like,
Okay.
I can thrift it and I can DIY it. I'm gonna do that before spending big money. So I saw they said today only $1 rack, and I was like, I'm there, because you never know what you're gonna get. And I just happened to find that jumpsuit. I was very.
Okay. Okay. So, do you resell clothes, handbags, shoes, anything like that?
I probably should, Lisa, because I think that I'm really good at finding, because I believe in not just buying just anything. And I'm not trying to step on anybody's toes, but I believe in buying luxury brands and quality items, so that you're not just in the cycle of just buying just to trend. I believe in buying things that you can have and maybe pass it down, or you can gift it to someone else.
Okay, so that's also in my notes. So let me jot that down, because we're going to go back to that. But so we've touched on this in other live streams while we're on the topic of this. So well, let me give my part on this. I definitely have done thrifting, not so much with clothes. I usually sell more clothes than buying. But I've done a bit of both. But one little story that I'll share is when my daughter got married, she got married, and it was actually before she got married, very very shortly, like a month. Um, they wind up finding a house and closing on the house before they got married. 3 bedroom house, and they were just starting out. They had been living with a friend, and basically in a room, living at someone else's house and just having a room. So they didn't have living room furniture, kitchen, all the things. So I helped out by contributing quite a few pieces of furniture that we got at the local Goodwill. And my stepfather gave her a dining set, and it was a larger dining set. I want to say it was 6 chairs and a table. And let me tell you something. If you just go and sand something down, I used a lot of like just black and gray paint, and you can make some things look modern and sleek. And I did end tables for the living room. We did the table and chairs that my stepfather gave her. I did like a dresser, like just not a dresser, but like a stand-up dresser with drawers, not one with a mirror on it, not a wide one, but more of a tall one for the guest room. And so obviously, yeah, they did buy a couch and some other items, but we were able to kind of get the rooms full with pieces that I was able to repurpose from by thrifting. So it's definitely a way that you can save, especially if you're young and starting out, and not have to put yourself into thinking you have to buy every last thing new. So that's just one of my little stories on thrifting. And I definitely, if I need something around my house, I'll see. Like, I even needed a washing machine. My washing machine was breaking down on me. Well, it wasn't breaking down; it was done. I had someone. I called a local repair person. He came in and he said, "Yeah, not repairable. We don't get these parts and things like that." And I had gone to Lowe's and Home Depot, and I was, pretty much on the brink of ordering a new one. But I said to myself, let me call my mom and my stepfather and see if they happen to have a washing machine. So let me say this. My stepfather works in property management. He has a pickup truck. He does runs for people. He works at in a he the complex that he manages is in a more affluent neighborhood. So he does lots of different things over there as far as maintenance and dealing with the pool and the landscaping and all those type of things. So I haven't, to this day, I still have not asked him. But when I asked if you happen to have a washing machine, he was like, yes, I'll bring it for you. He came, brought me the washer. He didn't take the old one for me. He said, you and your family have to deal with that. He put it in the garage, the broken washing machine. He hooked up, he brung the new washer, he hooked it up for me, and he was gone. I saw him recently. I said, that washing machine you gave me, it's working fine. It's been serving me well, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, oh yes, Lisa, it has a good motor. It has a brand new motor in it and blah, blah, blah. Of course. It's gonna be fine. And I'm like, yeah, well, I just wanted to say thanks again for, getting that over to me. To this day, I still have not asked him, why did you happen to have a working washing machine that you were able to give me? But I just figured maybe someone was renovating, someone didn't want it, and it is in good working order. And it's I've had it for months now.
Hold on.
And
I wanted to add something to it. Coming from a big family, my mom was always an avid person for going to garage sales and estate sales. And we always had an extra refrigerator, and I never understood it until one day our fridge actually broke down, and my mom was just like telling my dad, call your brother and just swap them out. It may not be ideal or the one that you want, but it can get you through a situation from not having a fridge to having it. So here I am now today in modern day that I do the same thing like my mother. I always have a spare refrigerator. I
oh,
just, yeah. if you find one, and you can find sometimes people are just getting rid of it because they're getting a newer model and it'll be on the side of the road. You never know.
Yes. It's some people are willing to get rid of things that are in good working order just because they can afford to. So I definitely agree with you on that. And you know, like the washing machine, obviously, it's not as modern and as pretty as I would want it to be, but it's downstairs in my basement in the laundry room. It's not as prominent as, a range or a refrigerator in my main,
Right.
kitchen. So it's not like something I have to look at every day. So it's definitely one of those things where I was willing to, it doesn't need to be perfection right now. And it gave me time to look for sales and take my time on, you know, adjusting my budget or just using this one until this one conks out, and then realizing, like, Lisa, you had a chance, you got to buy some time, and now it's time to just go on and start fresh again and have a good amount of years with something new. But I'm glad that I took it, and I'm glad that he had it, and I'm glad that that I am willing to do things like this that can save me money. And so, yeah, any tips or tricks when it comes to grocery shopping? I saw in the news recently that Costco is now the lowest place, officially the cheapest grocery shopping. They finally have edged out Walmart, which was the biggest retailer, which might not be places, depending on where you live, that you think of as go-to places for groceries. You might have, there's so many different grocery chains, but we've talked about it before, buying in bulk and cutting up the meat. And I don't have a second refrigerator or freezer plugged in right now, so I just have my main one in my kitchen. So my shopping is not too extensive. But do you have any tips or tricks or things that you try to incorporate to save when it comes to groceries?
Well, I like to buy my meat in bulk. I've talked about that before. I like to buy my meat in bulk, and I'll have some that will be in the main fridge, and then in the extra fridge will be meat that I have already seasoned and marinated, and I put it in the second fridge. That when that one is done, then I can just go to the second fridge. But I also like to go to local gardens. If you guys haven't already, just about everywhere around the United States has local gardens where you can go and pick fresh herbs and fruits and things like that. So I usually go there like every week to week and a half to get some fresh parsley, basil, whatever it is. And some people will look at me strange, but yes, I go to food pantries too, because hey, if they're going to give you, I'm going to take it. So I usually will go there and get like vegetables and fruits and other things, because I think it's important, wherever you can save 20 to $50 on things, I'm going to do those things. And I've been trying to get into meal prep um, recently in the past few weeks, and it's hard because I'm not a person that likes to eat the same foods all the time, like the same meals, but I am trying to, so I can get out of the cycle of wasting money eating out or buying things that I know I already have at home. So
Mhm.
that's what I've been doing recently.
Yeah, those little habits, they really can add up. I know, I definitely am about using my travel mug, and with me, it's a cost. The cost savings is just there naturally, but especially when it comes to the morning, I do not want to be sitting in a long line at Dunkin' Donuts or Starbucks or anywhere to get food or coffee or tea or something like that. So just having my good travel mug that keeps my drink hot, that is a little cost savings. And then also what you're talking about there with meal prepping, there's certain things that are very easy for me to prepare ahead of time and have them ready for on the go. So uh, if you guys take a month or two to evaluate your budget and see where you're spending, and set some goals for yourself. Like we're talking about having the emergency fund, getting rid of debt, increasing your investing. I know I'm a big about talking about investments on my channel. We really haven't talked about them much today, but obviously we did talk about, picking quality investments, but not too deep. But all of those things, by making small changes across the board, and then once you have that money, put real work into thinking about how it's going to be allocated differently. Don't just save and not have a goal for the adjustments that you're making. As you pay down the debt, now that debt is eliminated. Do you have another? Where is it going next? Is there another credit card? Is there another bill that it can go towards, or is it going to get shifted towards saving, investing, something like that? But have a plan for it. Don't just let it get eaten up by lifestyle creep, and eating out and different things like that, spending more, and just because it got one thing got off of the list, have a plan on where it's going next. So, but little amounts really do add up over time. And I've shown myself this by investing $5 and $10 consistently for month after month, year after year, and seeing what it's grown to. So don't feel like whether it's saving or investing, that if you can stay consistent with a small amount, it really does matter. So I jumped to this point earlier too about retirement is not an age, it is an amount. I jumped into that one early because I think that is so important. And it's just something that I want us to all realize, that if you are younger, you have a chance to be on track to change your outlook. It doesn't have to be what your parents or grandparents or the people around you are aiming for. And you were talking about that a little bit. I'm sorry, I was distracted at that time. And you were touching on, Marlene, you were saying that some of your family members are now realizing that they should have been doing a lot more when they were younger.
Yes, I have a few family members, and me being the youngest, I feel like there's no teacher like experience. Seeing it with my own eyes, the things that they want to do but they can't because of poor planning or excuses has really put a fire under me to make sure that I am doing what I need to do on my end. It's
Mhm.
not just about the excuses, because we all have things that goes on in our lives, situations, but it's about bouncing back, making your goals, and then enforcing them. Like, what is my action plan and how can I activate it? Because that's where the success begins, is in the action.
Mhm. So those family members that may have children, are you seeing that the kids are having to do a lot to help the parents, that is kind of unexpected to them?
Yeah, it's one of the situations is like the, they're in their teens, but they're not really having teen years because of the money just not being available to them. Like, say simple things like going to, joining certain sports clubs or things like that. Things that you want to do when you're a teenager that you just can't do because the money is not there from your parents. And if planning was in place, those things could happen for them. So it's one of those things like, am I doing what I need to do on my end so those things don't happen to me? It's just checking those boxes and making sure, am I on track or not?
Yeah, yeah. Yes, there are lots of little expenses when it comes to those teenagers, and don't even get me thinking about when if they want to drive the car.
Yeah.
That's the hugest one right there. Of course, outside of getting ready for college and stuff, but yes, there are lots of fees and things associated, especially as they get older, with, even cap and gown, their laptop, getting started with college. So much money and things that you need to think about ahead of time. But yeah, I wasn't thinking that you were going to give a teenager as an example. I was thinking more of older parents, but yeah, we have to be ready for it. We have to be ready for it. Okay. So Yeah, I actually have more. I have more content, but I wanted to keep this one to about 45 minutes because we are in a different time slot today doing a quick lunchtime live. So Marlene, thank you for joining me today. So do you have anything so what made you available at this time? Because we usually do 8 o'clock at night. Are you off today?
Yeah, my I'm doing a shift. I'm working on some things. I'm trying to see if I can go to the next level with my employment. I'm trying to go from my 4-day work week to 3-day work week, and how is that going to affect my finances? We'll check in. I'll check in with you next month, but I'm trying to eventually go from 3 to 2 to 1 to retirement. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, sounds good. Exciting. I wasn't expecting you to share that. Sounds good. Okay, so the one is agreeing with us that retirement is a number, not an age, and they were able to retire at age 48, and I love to see it. So guys, thank you for tuning in. I know this is a different time slot. I tried to make sure to promote it a little bit so you guys would know that we were going to be here today, and it looks like we had a pretty good turnout. I appreciate you for tuning in, and I will be back on Sunday in my regular time slot of 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And be on the lookout for my videos and shorts throughout the week. Have your notification bell on. Check out Marlene Motivates. Her channel is in the description. So what Marlene and I do is we rotate. Sometimes I'm over on her channel. Sometimes she comes over here. We don't dual stream. So you're going to have to subscribe to her, have that notification bell on, and be on the lookout for when we're collabing and doing some different things together. Again, thank you to Charity for giving a super chat today. I will be checking you out if you're on later on tonight. And let me see. All right, so I'm going to wrap it up for today. Any closing words for today, Marlene?
Just like what we mentioned, make sure that you're making your plans like and what's reasonable and attainable for you. Don't sit on the sidelines. Get active and participate in your life because your future self will thank you.
Yes, yes, definitely agreed. Your older self will be proud of the accomplishments that you are striving to make today. And look to those people around you and realize if it's someone that you're aspiring to be like, see if they're willing to pass on that knowledge like we were touching on, get some insights so that you can see if you are on track. Set goals for yourself. One that Marlene has already accomplished that I am ready to get on track for is paying off my mortgage, whether it's a smaller goal like getting that first paycheck, having $1,000 put aside, having 6 months of expenses put aside, or something larger like working towards paying off your mortgage. Wherever you're at, make sure that you're evaluating your finances and setting goals for yourself. We're all going to be in a different place, but I want us to be working and striving for a better financial outlook, for financial freedom, to be financially invincible. And so I'm going to leave it at that. I'll check out, be on the lookout for our next live stream in the next couple of weeks. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your weekends. And make sure to tune in on Sunday. I'm going to be having another guest. I hope my cold is getting better by then. I did pretty good with this one. I didn't even have to go to the tissue box. I made it through. But yes, please be on the lookout for my live on Sunday. And that's it. Again, shout out to everybody for tuning in, and I will see you soon. All right, Marlene.
Thank you. Bye.
And to investments, she made a lot on YouTube. Lisa J Stocks. Lisa J Stocks, that's the channel. Hey. If you wanna make some money, visit Lisa J Stocks. Yeah, yeah. You will make a lot. If you wanna make some money, visit Lisa J Stocks. Hey. She'll make it pop. If you wanna make some money, visit Lisa J Stocks. Yeah, yeah. Hey. You will make a lot. If you wanna make some money, visit Lisa make it pop. We a piece of